Chapter 8. Sometime during my stay beneath the protection of this mighty tree, and the angels who stayed with me, my heart began to ache. It was a small ache at first, easy to ignore, but it grew steadily. I did not realize I was trying to drown it out and cover it with other things, but I was. Nevertheless, it continued to grow until I just could not ignore it any longer. I turned my head to look at the river. To my surprise, the landscape had changed dramatically. The tree was now just on the edge of the water, not the long walk it had been before, and the soft grass of the clearing was gone. The fire was gone, as were the angels who tended it. I looked away from the river to discover that the clearing itself was now gone. The treeless land stretched for as far as I could see. Low brush and swirling dust were all that remained of my precious world, my peaceful clearing. The only constant was the churning, angry waters of the river that continued to defy my love, my faith, and my future. Somehow, I was not surprised at the change of the landscape. I guessed deep inside I was expecting it. The Lord said he would never leave me or give up on me. I knew this was his doing to get my attention. It worked. The aching within for him was now the ruling force of my life. I thought of my Lord constantly, often thinking of his warm embrace and his healing touch. Oh, how I loved him, how I longed for him. I remembered my prayer to him. I still meant every word of it, every word. Jesus, I give you my heart, I really do. But I've come to understand that his kingdom comes when he has my will as well as my heart. They do not independently possess the power of his kingdom. It is true that I must be before I can do. It is also true that many try to do without being, and that has little hope of working either. But at some point, if his kingdom is to be seen on this planet, the being in him and the doing his will must come together in joyful harmony within me. Lord, I ache inside. I ache for you, to be with you, to please you. I sat silently on the side of the river, peering with great longing into the future, into my future. I remember seeing my Lord call to me from that shore. The hot wind made it difficult to see it now. The wind drove dust into my face, stinging my eyes as though they were bombarded with grains of sand. It felt as though the sun was baking rivulets of tears deep into my reddened, sunken cheeks. The heat was searing. The sun's rays pounded relentlessly and mercilessly on the barren land. Blowing sand and dust made it almost impossible to breathe. The combination of the two burned so badly that everything was merely a blur. Not that there was anything to see, mind you, for as far as the eye could look in any direction, there was nothing but wilderness. Then, in absolute shock, I leaped to my feet. I could not believe what I was seeing. There, far into the wilderness, rose the smoke of thousands of fires. The smell of burnt meat, mingled with smoke and dust, filled the air. I heard the faint bleating of sheep over the howl of the wind, and the cry of children could faintly be heard. This cannot be happening. This has got to be a dream. I turned around to see that the tree I had rested under and that had often comforted me was now nothing more than a large, insect-infested stump rising only inches higher than I stood. Everything is gone. I turned again to the depths of the wilderness to see if my eyes really were seeing what I thought they were seeing. The sun is playing tricks on me. I'm sure of it. Now you are in the wilderness with everyone else. A heckling voice shouted from inside me. It was fear. I could recognize him anywhere. Now you have no place to go. He was right. Now I was stuck in the wilderness too, probably forever. And then regret called to me. You should have said yes when you had the chance. Now you're finished. You are finished. I turned wildly to look across the river. I could see them, shielding my eyes from the blinding sun. They were barely visible, far in the distance on the other side of the river, dancing and mocking my struggle. It was no accident that they were standing just where the Lord had stood, with his arms open to me, calling me to himself. You were with your Lord just a little while ago, and already you're shaking with fear. You're never going to make it, the accuser shouted, quite truthfully. Over the noise of the rushing river and the relentless blowing of the wind, their laughter and mocking continued. I wanted to return their arguments, but my head ached and my heart was suffering far more deeply. Why am I listening to them? I asked myself. But this time, I would have to listen to their taunting. The day had been much too hot and much too depressing, and I did not have the strength to fight. The past made me weary just thinking about it, let alone arguing about it. I know the regret. I know the opportunity I missed. I should have said yes. At least I would be there now. Lost in my own self-pity and regret, I was stunned at the familiar feeling of a gentle, loving hand on my shoulder. Lord! I jumped to my feet and wrapped my arms around him. You're back! You came back! I could feel the smile on his face. I never left, my son. I never left. But look at our clearing. Well, you were gone. Everything changed. The angels are gone. The fire's gone. The grass is gone. Everything is like a wilderness. And the time, where did the time go? All the dreams you had for me are gone, Lord. Everything is gone. The Lord laughed out loud as he embraced me. Nothing is gone. You have simply lost your sight for things eternal. Everything is as it was, for it is still now. There is no way I understood what he had just said, but I was just so glad he was with me again. Lord, please do not leave me again. Please stay with me. The Lord sighed as he kissed my cheek. I will always be with you. You must see, my son, that your view changed. I was always here. My presence has always been near to you. Oh, Lord, please forgive me. But I do not want to talk right now. I just want you to hold me. And so he did. For minutes, for hours, in time or out of time, who knew? Who cared? The power of his love engulfed me. I could sense him deep within my heart. His spirit bore witness to my spirit, melting my frustration, my fear, and yes, even my will began to melt into his. Everything within me was saying yes to him. I drifted in and out of time as he changed my thoughts and my desires and filled me with himself. I knew that he had not gone away. He was always there, waiting for me, praying for me, believing in me to respond to the ache that he had placed within me.